When I first saw the trailer for HappyFunland, I instantly knew that this was a game that I had to play. I just loved the premise so much. It's basically this. You're exploring an old, long shut down theme park in South Florida. It's very similar to Disney World. Of course, it's legally distinct, but very similar to Disney World. And I just think this is such a cool concept, especially for VR. Now, I played this on the PlayStation VR 2, but you can also get it on PC, I think. So I think you can play it with whatever PC VR headset you like. And first things first, if you're coming to this review to find out if HappyFunland is a good game or not, unfortunately, I can't give you a simple answer, but what I can do is tell you that I really, really like this game, but I have a ton of caveats to tell you about. There's some stuff in here that I think is just objectively really bad, but before I get to that, I want to tell you about the things that I really liked. First, you should know that I'm a huge fan of theme parks. So any video game that has any sort of theme park theming, I'm really going to be interested in that. And I also really like Disney World. And this game takes some really heavy inspiration from Walt Disney World, specifically the Magic Kingdom. Almost every of the major attractions that are in Magic Kingdom are represented in this game one way or another. Now, they are legally distinct, a little different, but they don't really stray that far from the source material. I mean, it almost feels like copyright infringement at some points. You've got blatant copies of rides like The Haunted Mansion, It's a Small World, Pirates of the Caribbean, much more really. And the founder of this fictional theme park is named Mort Grizzly. Grizzly sounds like Disney. And I'm pretty sure that Mort is a reference to Mortimer Mouse, which is Mickey's rival. But I'm no copyright lawyer. I'm sure it's all good and above the belt. It's probably just fair use and parody. But I'll tell you, as a gamer, I am so glad that they flew so close to the sun with copying these attractions because I had an attachment to them. These are things that I know and love. So it was so much more engaging than if they had just created a fictional theme park that I had never been to with rides that I knew nothing about. But that being said, this isn't just a theme park game. This is also a horror game, which is awesome for me because I also love horror games. But as for the actual scariness of it, it's not that scary. I mean, it is in VR, and VR games are kind of more scary when they try to be than regular games. But unless you're just really, really easily scared, I think that most people can handle this level of horror. And one of the reasons that I think it's not that scary is that this game also has a lot of humor in it. So that silliness really helps cut the tension. And I really like it when horror media of any kind, whether it be a book, a movie, a game, I love it when horror stuff adds comedy elements in. I think it's so much fun. So yeah, I loved how similar HappyFunland was to the Magic Kingdom and Disney World. I loved going through it and thinking, what attraction am I going to get to see next? I love the horror theming. But this game also has some pretty big problems. It's got some problems that you may not be able to overlook the same way that I can. The biggest problem is just the overall ever-present jank. In my opinion, this is a really janky game. I mean, it is an indie game, so I hate to harp on it too much, but I really can't review the game properly without addressing it. So the first problem is the combat. There is combat in this game. Basically what happens is that as you're exploring the park randomly throughout, you might be attacked by one, two, or a handful of these animatronic mascots. Now, there are various weapons laying around that you can use to defend yourself, but this combat is really bad, at least in my opinion. It kind of all boils down to you just swinging wildly whatever weapon you have, and then eventually their heads pop off and they explode, but there's like zero feedback to let you know that you're even doing damage. There's a little bit of an audio cue, and I guess that tells you, but because your weapon just passes straight through them, it's really hard to know that you're even doing anything. To me, it's just not fun. It's just not implemented well. I think that it's probably the worst aspect of the game. I just really didn't like the combat. And to make it worse, when you die, the game doesn't reset anything besides your health. It resets your health. But other than that, the enemies don't go anywhere. You don't go anywhere. So after you die, you just respawn back in the exact same place and you're getting attacked by the same enemies that just killed you. So if you don't have a weapon or you didn't have a weapon, you better find one because you're about to die again from the same exact enemies. No, it's just so janky. And speaking of jank, there's the mini golf. So throughout the game, you come across these mini golf courses and you have to complete them in order to unlock new areas. Now you can do VR mini golf. You can do VR golf. I've played VR golf games. They're lots of fun, or at least they can be, but this one is just not. The golf ball has absolutely zero weight to it. It feels like you're hitting around a ping pong ball and you have no control. And you have to finish these courses, so it just feels like such a chore every time you get to it. Now, the idea and concept, I don't think it's bad, but it's just not implemented well here. And the last big gripe I have with this game is something that I usually don't have a problem with in VR, and that's motion sickness. Now, I know a lot of people get motion sick when they play VR. It stops a whole lot of people from enjoying this genre in general, but I guess I'm lucky because usually I don't ever get motion sick when playing VR. With HappyFunland, I had a little bit of an issue. So usually I play VR games sitting down, but for whatever reason, I found that HappyFunland just didn't work very well unless I was standing up, so I played the game standing up. Here's the thing. If you're riding virtual theme park attractions standing up, it's a little shaky. There were multiple times when I was standing and I really felt like I was gonna fall over. And I guess it just kind of messed with my inner ear. And yeah, it did make me feel a little motion sick. Not terrible, but it definitely made me feel a little motion sick. So I know that if it made me a little sick, it's probably going to make people who are really apt to it and prone to it quite sick. HappyFunland is kind of a tough sell, isn't it? It's an unapologetically janky VR game. It's got terrible combat and it might just make you sick. It's probably going to make you sick, but still, I really, really like this game. And I think it's because, you know, Disney's never going to portray their theme parks in this way, at least in an official manner. So if we're ever going to get a game where we get to explore an old, decrepit, haunted, long shut down version of Disney World, this is it. This is what this is in my mind. So I just love that concept so much. Now I also get that I am this game's target, probably perfect audience. I love pretty much every aspect about it. I love horror, I love VR, I love theme parks, I like Disney World. You put it all together, I'm really gonna like that. And I'm gonna be able to forgive its problems. And this game has a lot of problems. It's really kind of jank, but still, to me, it was still worth it. So if you're considering this game, hopefully I've been able to provide enough information so that you can make an informed purchasing decision. And since you made it to the end, I just want to say thank you for supporting this channel. If you'd like to see more of my game reviews in the future, you know what to do. So until then, I'm Randy from Gaming Gig, and I'll see you next time.